Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Sutton, and welcome to Living Her Legacy. Today on the podcast, I have Erica Carpenter, a travel specialist, wife, and mama of two boys. We talk about all things running a small business inside of a family and how that plays out, as well as the importance of travel and experiences. She also gives a couple of travel tips, so I hope you enjoy. Well, hi, Erica. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Yeah, I wanted you to just kind of introduce yourself, let us know who you are, maybe where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, great. So, my name is Erica Carpenter. I am a wife, a mother, and a follower of Jesus. I am a native Charlottean. So, I am actually from Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born here and have lived here my whole life. We're rare, so that's why I added that
That's
tidbit.
true. That's true.
Um, but if you need to find one, I can find a lot. Uh, I am a travel professional. So I am an independent contractor with Cupcake Castles Travel Company. And I spend my days and nights trying to help families, busy families, plan vacations and newlyweds set out on their honeymoons. And it's really exciting. I have two boys. They are 12 and 7, and they keep us pretty busy. My husband and I are both small business owners, so we both understand the importance of small business and pouring your heart and your soul into what you do. But it's difficult sometimes to find the balance between business, family, life, travel, all the things. So we do our best, and I strive to help families see that it is doable to travel as a family. And one thing that is super important to me is having the opportunity to make memories.
Mm.
Memories cannot be taken from you, and they're one of the few things that can't be taken from you, good or bad. It is important to have them because the good ones make you feel good, and the bad ones you can learn from and grow from. So, I find it important to make memories through travel. That is something that I did not always have the opportunity to do growing up. So when we had children, I told my husband, wherever they want to go, I will go. Whatever they want to do, I will do. Now I'm a little scared about that now since they're here and they're crazy, crazy in love with travel. But wherever they want to go, I want to go, and I want to be a part of that memory. So I enjoy helping people have the same opportunity to make memories.
That's awesome. I don't think I knew that about you, that your husband also is a small business owner. So,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. So, I want to kind of like dive off into that a little bit, just kind of talking about a little bit about like work-life balance and how you like exemplify that to your kids, because that's a struggle, especially in your industry where travel
Yes.
is literally 24/7.
Yes.
Um, is there something that you put in place as far as like boundaries, or is there something you tell your kids about, like how do you do it?
That's a great question. Um, so Greg's work-life balance is a little, I'll talk about his first and then I'll talk about me. He's a licensed general contractor. So he builds houses and does home remodel projects and stuff like that. He has always done that. His father owned the company and they did it together. So small business has always been a part of my children's life.
Mm-hmm.
Like we spend our weekends going to Lowe's or Home Depot to buy materials for the job. So we would have breakfast. Our typical Saturday morning routine would be we would have breakfast at Chick-fil-A. We don't get trash service where I live, so we have to take our trash to the dump. So it's near Chick-fil-A. And then we would go to Lowe's to buy whatever materials were needed for the job for the next week. But Lowe's and Home Depot both have these little programs called at Lowe's, it's called Build and Grow, or it used to be called Build and Grow. Home Depot, it's like the DIY kids workshop or something. And so Jacob and Andrew would get the opportunity to build something while Mr. Carpenter and Greg were shopping for whatever materials they needed. And so that was kind of fun. And we still do that, even though Mr. Carpenter passed. But my kids were learning, ironically, we are carpenters by trade, and that's our name. But they were learning how to build and how to hammer and how to nail and how to use a screwdriver and screws.
Mm.
And they were also seeing the importance of being prepared for your week ahead and getting the supplies that you need to move forward with the week with their father and their grandfather at the same time. I was in tow, but so that's really neat. Part of how our business is a family business, both of them are, and it's a part of our family. So we don't per se balance, I guess. It's a part of who we are. So a lot of times I spend most of my day on hold with different suppliers on the phone. My kids can sing all of the hold music for most travel suppliers. During the pandemic, when they were at home, I still had to work. So, it became a part of our daily life. They understand that dining reservations for Walt Disney World open at 6 a.m. And some mornings I can't help with their morning routine because I have to make dining reservations for my clients. So it became part of our life. Personally and truthfully, I don't do a great job of balancing it because it is supply and demand. And my business comes in waves. So I might have 25 quotes in one day. And then for 2 weeks, I might have nothing. Sometimes it varies. People like to travel and start thinking about travel when they're together. So like after Thanksgiving, I typically get an influx of inquiries in my inbox. But in the summer months, I may be pretty slow just because they've already planned their trip. Many people like to do it one trip at a time. I have one client that has a spreadsheet for the next 10 years. And she's like, okay, it's time to book this vacation. Okay, it's time to book this vacation.
Wow.
And then I have others that are like, hey, can we go next week? So it just varies, but I try hard to do most of my work when the kids go to bed. They typically go to bed about 8:30. And then I try to do most of my work Monday through Friday when they're in school, but sometimes it's inevitable. So my kids have learned that if you want to travel with the travel agent mama, sometimes you have to help. So last week, Andrew helped me put flyers together for an event at the Charlotte Academy of Music where Jacob takes piano. He sat there and helped me put labels on catalogs. And I mean, he's 7, but he knows that those catalogs have our name on it, and that's how people call us to book vacations. So I think I'm trying. I don't know if it's happening or not, but it's my intention and our intention that our children see, how we make our money. Because we are both commission-based employees. And it's also our intention that we make our children understand if we don't work for this money, it's not going to be there. And sometimes we can still work for the money and it still might not be there based off of the economy or the recession or, whatever's happening. And that's tough because you can't predict the future. COVID knocked me to my knees with travel.
I bet so.
And I mean, I can't even tell you how much business I canceled, but that happened to everybody. So, Greg told me, he was like, stop being upset, control what you can control. And when he told me that, I let it go. I had my mental breakdown after watching the Disney fireworks one night. The live stream of Happily Ever After broke me. And I had my breakdown. I gave it to God, and I have been very blessed since. But it's hard. I mean, I can't control what people book, what people cancel. I can't control what choices my kids make. I can direct them and I can guide them, but it's their decisions to make. So, control, letting go of that is an important thing, I think, as a parent and as a business owner, but it's hard to just trust and let it go.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really cool that both your jobs, you have found tangible ways your kids can help you and be a part of the business. I think, that doesn't work for every family. I work my full-time job is basically an insurance. So it's like, the kids know that if I'm on a call, they got to be quiet, but they really can't do a lot to help out.
Yeah.
But then, Josh is in lawn care. So they love blowing leaves,
Uh-huh.
mowing lawn, all that stuff. And that's kind of that tangible, like they can get a sense of this is work. It can
Yes.
be enjoyable,
Yes.
and should be enjoyable, but this is
Yeah.
how we make money in order to do the things that we want to do or buy the necessities in life. No, I think that's a really cool thing that you guys have been able to do, because I'm sure, like you said, you're kind of on call all hours of the day, depending on when things open, when booking starts, when a client needs you.
Yeah. I've had well, it was before they woke up. I had to make dining on Christmas morning one year.
Mm.
But they weren't awake yet, so that didn't matter. That was really cool. I thought that was fun. Um I was at just this past summer, I was at a birthday party with Andrew, and a client got stranded in Turks and Caicos. And they're like, our plane just got canceled. We're at the airport. What do we do?
Right.
And so, I mean, they're seasoned travelers, but they knew that I would work with the property to help them find where they needed to go, and take care of them, and help guide them, because I mean, it's scary when you're in a foreign country
Mm-hmm.
and your flight is canceled and there's
Mm-hmm.
no flights out.
Mm-hmm.
So, luckily we were working with the airline, got them on a flight the next day, but like, it's like that. Like Greg was in the hospital one time and I had to help a client with a online check-in. Like, I mean, when I'm not available, if it's a true dire circumstance and I cannot be available, I have colleagues that can step in and help.
Mm-hmm.
But and we do that a lot. But if it's something where I can be accessed, I help assist my client how I can, because I wouldn't want the shoe to be on the other foot.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want that to be me or somebody that I loved.
Right.
And I think it's important to provide service, and that's part of my business is service. So, but yeah, I mean, they know, like my friends know, it's hilarious. I'm like, gotta go. They're calling me.
Yeah.
I'll be back over here. So
Yeah. So I want to kind of transition a little bit, because part of your work is traveling. You have
Mhm.
to go to properties and tour them. And so you're away from home some of the time. Now, I know sometimes the family gets to go along too, but some of it is just you traveling solo or with your work. How do you decide, or how do you decide when, okay, yeah, let's make this a family trip, or like, no, I just need to go and make sure like everything's taken care of at home while you're gone?
So there's some things that I can bring my family on and some things I can't. So that's easy sometimes.
Hmm.
A lot of times where I'm traveling dictates if they can go or not. So for example, when we just got back from the Bahamas on the Disney Wish, and it was a family vacation. I was truly on vacation.
Oh, wow.
But even my kids know that when I'm on vacation, we're still working. So we have to video the room and we have to take all the pictures and we have to try all the food. And vacationing with a travel agent is very different than a normal vacation, because we may be a little obsessed with pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't eat anything until we take a picture. So I'm getting better about that on family trips. But so this was a true vacation. So they got to go. We had fun. Whatever they wanted to do, we did. It was great. Agent trips, I try to decide, because my agency travels a lot and there are a lot of opportunities for travel agents to travel and learn more about properties and destinations and types of travel and all the things. I try to pick destinations and properties that I think would best suit my clients. Not necessarily what I want, but what I think would best suit my clientele. What I think they would like to see. And so I pick destinations based off of that. I pick fam trip. They're called fam trips, the travel agent trips,
Hmm.
based off of where I need to see for my clients. So this past summer, my agency went to Mexico. I had just been to Mexico, so I didn't feel like I needed to go back. I have been to Barbados with my friend, my colleague Jody, because we wanted to see, excuse me, the resorts that were in Barbados. I've been to Jamaica the same way. I had the opportunity during COVID to take Greg to Jamaica with me, but while he got to chill on the beach, I had to go to class.
Right.
So when you travel on a trip that is a learning experience, you have to take the time to be intentional about learning the ins and outs of the property, seeing the room categories, doing some excursions, eating the food, tasting the mocktails, because I don't really drink, all that jazz, like making sure, ironically, Jamaica doesn't have Mexican beer in their resorts. Mexico doesn't have Jamaican beer in their resorts. I would have never paid attention to that because I don't drink beer. They all have Coke.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mexican Coke. It's different than American Coke. So, it's things that I don't necessarily pay attention to because they don't affect me personally. I learn more about when I go on my travel agent trips.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps to see what it's like to travel without children. Because some of my clients don't have children. They're not in that stage of life, or they're past that stage of life. And they want to know what their experience will be like without their kids. Traveling with kids is very different. It's a lot more eventful, a lot more fun, and a lot louder from time to time. But, it's just different types. I try to expose myself to something I haven't done before so I can better serve my clients.
That's great.
Now, when
So,
I travel and don't take my kids, thank God I have a great support system at home. I have a wonderful friend who takes care of their after school pickup, and Greg has the flexibility with his schedule to take them to school. I try to travel during the school year if I'm going to travel without my children, because at least they're somewhere for 8 hours a day that somebody doesn't have to be responsible for them. And then we have an awesome support system with our parents that love to see their grandkids and take care of grandkids, but it is hard because they always have something. And, I remember I missed Jacob's Christmas play. I had the assistant principal FaceTime me I was in Jamaica, and she FaceTimed me so I could see his Christmas play. So, stuff like that, you have to pick and choose. There's some things I will not miss, period. The end, I will stay at home. But schedules change, things come up. I have to make sure I have travel insurance because you never know.
Right. Let's say there's a family that maybe they used to travel before kids, and their kids are maybe of an age where they're feeling a little bit more like, okay, this is possible. Let's do this twofold. What would be like maybe a good first destination, maybe in the US, and then maybe one like out of the country, as far as like maybe kind of getting your feet wet with that travel and taking kids on an airplane? Or
So I think it depends on the people and what they like. And that is one thing I always pride myself in, is I try to find out what my clients like and enjoy, and then I begin to direct them from there. I would say anywhere within a short driving distance would be a good indicator for home travel if your kids do well in the car. I have actually never flown with my children. My children have never flown. But I would think flying would be similar to a car. As far as you have to sit still, you have to be in one place, you need something to do. Not on an airplane, I would pick somewhere within a distance that they can tolerate being in a car. If they struggle with that, one thing that has really helped my kids is watching movies in the car. we have this little DVD system with screens, and they can watch whatever they want, and they don't fight, and they don't say, "Are we there yet?" until the movie ends, of course. So, and Jacob is 12, so he's in charge of movies. He's in charge of entertainment. If you have an older child, give them a job, maybe have them navigate on the map if they're into that. But pick a destination that they can tolerate, and that that they will enjoy when they get there. So in Charlotte, a lot of people like to go to the mountains or to the beach. We're kind of in the middle. So, going to the mountains is great. But if your kids hate the outdoors and hate the mountains, it might not be the best spot. But the elevation changes when you drive to the mountains, much like the elevation can change when you're taking off on an airplane. So one of the things, because I'm sensitive to elevation change, one of the things that I do is I know I have to chew gum or eat peanuts, which you can't really do on an airplane because peanut allergies, but I have to be moving my jaw in some way, shape, or form so that the pressure will release and my ears will pop and I will be okay and I won't be sick. If I'm not doing that, I will get sick, which will make my travel experience bad.
Right.
So, kids are sensitive to those things. So I tell people, if they've never traveled on an airplane before, make sure you have something your kid likes to eat while you're taking off. That way, the pressure, so I would say, beach or mountains from Charlotte, maybe even Great Wolf Lodge. If you don't live that close to Charlotte, kids love the Great Wolf Lodge. And then you could go on a cruise if you didn't want to fly. Cruising seems to be very, very back and exciting for people right now. But if you did want to fly, I would try to pick a short plane ride. We have a lot of nonstop options from Charlotte, 3 hours or less. So even if it was in the United States, I would pick a short plane ride to a destination where they have things your children will enjoy. Like if your kids like to swim and snorkel, go to the Caribbean. If they like to ski, go to Colorado. It just depends on what your family likes.
That's awesome. I like that. I remember, my parents are in Oregon. So whenever we go out there, we have to fly. And so we've done the whole 1 kid, 2 kids on the airplane. And I do remember someone giving us the advice of, especially when they're like in the infant stage of having that pacifier or a bottle or something so that they're sucking on something for when their ears pop, because that is definitely one of the worst things. You just about to take off and the kid starts crying because their ears hurt and they've never experienced that before,
Right. And they don't know. And you don't know because especially if you're a seasoned flyer or you don't notice it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new experience to this little kid that's never had an earache, and they're like, my head is going to explode, but they can't tell you that.
Right. They don't know how to verbalize that yet.
Yeah. So you've flown with your children, and your kids are how old?
Yeah. So my oldest is going to be 5 next month, and my youngest is 2. And my youngest has flown at least once, well, there and back, so I guess twice. And my oldest has flown probably 6 or 8 times. We definitely loved to travel before we got married, and that was one of the things that we also value is travel. And I think especially me being from the West Coast, Josh being from here, we wanted our kids to experience that. And Josh traveled growing up. They would go to Jamaica, or every once in a while, every few years, they'd go on a big trip out of the country. And we just did a lot in the US really growing up with my family. A lot of camping, a lot of road trips. And we moved around a ton when I was younger. So I lived in 5 different states before I was in first grade. So I kind of already had that. I really knew the importance of culture and teaching my kids the differences in landscape
Yeah.
in, our country, and, you know, just the different people types all
Yeah.
over. So I think that's something that we valued. And now obviously, like, after Esme was born, COVID shut down everything. So we really are just now kind of getting back into travel again. Well, this year, I would say. And it's been wonderful. I actually
Yeah.
heard the other day that gift giving, or like goods, are like really low this year because everybody's wanting to gift experiences and
Yeah.
travel. Mm-hmm.
I definitely think, I mean, it has picked up significantly over the past year. And I too, experiences are huge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is all I knew. And when I grew up, Charlotte was not what it is right
What it
now.
is today. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when 485 didn't exist. So like it has exploded. And there are a lot of different cultures here and a lot of different types of people here. But I didn't get to experience that as a child. So I think that it's extremely important for me, for my children to understand that we're all different. We all come from different cultures. We have different traditions, and you need to learn about those traditions in order to understand the community that you live in and the friends that you have, and just the people. Because and when I was a teacher, I really got to start to experience and see some different traditions from different cultures through my students. They would bring in, I taught health and PE and sports medicine, and they would bring in different cultures and show me their different, because I was fascinated by that.
Mm-hmm.
And even just different cultures within the United States, different regions have different traditions. And so I feel like it's important to see and experience all that you can, because there's a great big world out there.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, God didn't make me to sit here and just look at the trees in my backyard. He created me to go.
Mm-hmm.
And and it is fabulous to be able to go and to have the opportunities to help other people do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much, travel is so much more than going on vacation. It's the experience. It's the interacting with the people in the airport. Even if you go to an all-inclusive resort and you stay on that property and you don't leave the property, you've still interacted with so many different types of people that you would have never met before if you didn't take that vacation. And you impact people, and you don't really realize that you have an impact on people. Your interaction with them does. And so the memories, the importance of the visualizing, like I can tell my kid till I'm blue in the face something, but if I take them and they see it, it's totally different. Experiencing something for yourself, even at different points in your life, at different periods of your life, at different stages in your life with different people, you could go to the same place 100 times and it would be completely different. You'll never have the same experience twice. And that is something that I want to instill in my children. Is it's about the journey, and it's about who you meet along the way, and it's about changing the world for the good, of course, but it's not about you, it's about the whole big picture. Because my world's great, I'm very blessed, I love my home, my city, but I can see more, and I can learn more about history and culture if I go and see things. And you should never, ever, ever not travel because your kids are too young. Because that's what people will tell you. Oh, you don't need to go. Your kids are too young. They won't remember it. Take pictures and show them that photo album. They'll remember it. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, we've taken both of our kids at 4 months old to Disney World. And
Amazing.
my 4-year-old, almost 5, will still talk about the picture of her, of course, pre-pandemic, giving Mickey a big kiss on the nose. And she was, like I said, 4 months old. big open mouth kiss on his nose. And she loves that picture. And I always thought, like, we had the trip planned before I even knew I was pregnant, because we went for a big 70th birthday party with my family. And we just knew, like, okay, she's coming with us, obviously. And it wasn't necessarily for her, although even at 4 months old, you could see her eyes light up when we'd go on a ride or something like that. And but the fact that I have those memories as her
Yep.
mom, and Josh as her dad, like, we can think back on that all the time and look back at our pictures and be like, that was awesome. Yes, we
Yeah.
did have to, like, pack the diapers, pack the extra change of clothes, pack the milk bottles or whatever. But you know what? It was so worth it. And
Yeah.
I did it again after
Yeah.
having the second child. Um, we took her same time. Arlo was about to turn 3, and free before 3 at Disney. So we got one more trip in before we had to pay for the kids, and we went a family of 4 for the price of 2,
Yeah.
which was awesome. So I definitely would encourage people also to try it.
Yeah.
I think
Everywhere.
there's so many people that have done it before and can offer advice. A lot of times I'll research stuff on a blog, or what it's like to travel with kids, or do I need the pack and play or whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously that's something too that people can reach out to you as a travel agent,
Uh-huh.
because you research that stuff. You research, okay, you get to the
Yeah.
resort, you call up for a pack and play, and they'll bring it to your room. You don't have to travel with that, things like
Right.
that I think are what a mom is thinking about, all the things we
Mhm.
worry about. But we can definitely, like, reach out to you, um, and just
And
get
I've
those
done it.
answers.
Yeah, Andrew, when I started this business when Andrew was a baby. So I don't know how many times he's been to Disney, but he's been in every stage of life, and I've forgotten my luggage with his clothes in it before. I've forgotten, I didn't forget diapers, but I forgot the whole suitcase. He had no clothes. So, like, our memory maker pictures are of 3 different onesies that I washed in the bathroom sink each night. So, like, I mean, I've done it. Like, I mean, and that's the best place to get advice, is people who have truly experienced what you think you're going to experience, because I mean, people can tell you things that you won't even think of.
Hmm.
And, like, there are baby care centers at Disney World that you can go and be quiet and cool and in the hot of summer. And, like, I didn't pay attention to that before I had children, you know?
Hmm.
So, and that's one of the first things I tell people is, if you need a break, go here. They'll take care of you. So, it's great in the fact that I get to help people see it's doable.
Hmm.
And, you know, I've had clients call me just this week. Hey, my kid has a sore throat. What do I do? And I've been to Disney with a sick kid, so I can tell you what I did. Now, are all my answers perfect? No. Are my methods the best? I mean, they've been tested, but there's probably better ones out there. But, I'm going to help you. And you have a support system, I guess. So I like being in people's corner. I like being
Love
able
that.
to help them out.
I love
So,
that. What does it mean to you to be living in your legacy?
oh my goodness, that's such a tough question. Um, I guess I want to be able to create memories with my children, and I want them to be able to take that and to understand the importance of that, and to carry that down to their children if they have them, or their friends, or whoever. I want them to understand the importance of experiences and how they shape you and your outlook as a person.
So we traveled to Jamaica this summer for the first time for us, to Jamaica, and really our first time traveling out of the country since COVID hit. And what was really impactful to us was how every person that we met there, from the airport staff to the bus drivers, transportation, people that took our luggage, the people that welcomed us at the resort, they all were just so thankful that we were there. And they would explain to us that tourism is the biggest industry in Jamaica. They make
Yes.
most of their money in that country, and probably similar for many, many other countries is tourism. And how
Yes.
during the pandemic, I mean, almost everybody was out of work. Nobody worked
Uh-huh.
because so many of them work at resorts,
Uh-huh.
work in the airports, work in transportation alone, work in
Uh-huh.
experiences. And so that was something that was, I didn't realize that when I traveled. You know, we were kind of going as our first little getaway, husband and wife, after having kids for a while. And it really meant something to just see that and experience that. So I thought that
Yes.
was something that, you know, again, I didn't know at first, but was something that was just super cool to see.
Yes. So tourism is huge on those islands. Um, and it's their bread and butter, much like it's mine,
Mm-hmm.
which it kind of comes full circle. And this is a really corny tidbit, but when I get on a Disney cruise ship, because that's the only cruise I've taken post COVID so far, and they say, "Welcome aboard, Carpenter family." And, we walk onto that ship, it's like, whoa. Like, I was standing at the sail away party and I was crying like a baby. And I'm not a crier. I cry when I'm angry and when like somebody dies. And so, I was just crying. And I'm sure the lady that was standing beside me thought I had lost my mind. But it all came full circle. Like, at one point, I didn't think I would ever do that again because I didn't know if cruising would rebound or if even travel would rebound. I didn't know if I would have any money to travel after losing so much business. And, it impacted us on both sides. Not only did I lose business, Greg had plenty of business, but like materials went through the roof. So, you know, and so it was like a full circle moment for me. And I'm able to do these things that I love and enjoy and help people do them, but it was taken away of no fault of my own or anyone else that I know by a global pandemic, which I can't control, but it was just such a blessing to be there. And when we went to Jamaica, we traveled to Jamaica in November of 2020. And you got off the plane and they had on like hazmat suits and they were spraying your luggage down with like the things we spray the yard with, and there was no COVID coming into that country. I'll tell you that. Those people were adamant that they were going to be clean and they were going to protect their country and their people so they could have money to survive. And that was my experience there. But many of the other islands did the same thing. Tourism is bread and butter. It puts their food on their table. It keeps their lights on. It funds their country. And in the United States, we have so many other sources of income and so many other industries that we pride off of. But tourism is also a large part of our industry, our economy as well. When the airlines were
Mm.
not flying as many people because of COVID, and the hotels weren't booking as many people because people weren't traveling for pleasure or for business in the United States, that hurt our
Yeah.
economy as well. And that's something that people don't think about. But I will say, anytime you go to an island where their bread and butter is tourism, they are so happy to see you because they get it. They understand that if these people can't come here, our island may not survive. And
Right.
they pride themselves on that independence of that island. And they are very prideful that they are a country, all islands, not just Jamaica. And they're tiny little spaces in the world, and they're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spaces. But one thing that I've learned is they have some of the most beautiful people that you will ever see.
Mm.
And they want to make sure you have a good experience. So you go back and you tell your friends and you go back
Right.
to their island because
Right.
that's their home. And like, to have such pride for where you're from. Sure, I love my country. I have pride for my state and my city. But, you know, they like exude
Mm.
this pridefulness of, you must go to Jamaica. It's my home.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't know
That's
that I've
awesome.
ever told anybody, hey, come see what Charlotte's got, because
Right.
we have a
Right.
racetrack. Like, but you know, I've never really thought about it that way, but
Yeah.
where they're from, their little corner of the world is the best place, and you have to see it, and you have to eat their food, and like they have to tell you all about it. And yeah, they're so glad that you're there. And those
I
cruise
love
ships
that.
that come in, so much money comes off of those cruise ships that dock on their ports. It's when you go and you spend your money in the Caribbean, you're giving back to those countries.
I love that.
So
All right, Erica, if someone wanted to find you, because I know you work with people all over the country for booking travel, where are some ways we can find you?
so I am on Instagram. I am Cupcake Castles Erica on Instagram. A basic Google search should pop me up if you Google Cupcake Castles Erica Carpenter. Um, that should take you to my website and to my Facebook business page. I can also be found on Facebook, Erica Carpenter, Cupcake Castles Travel Company. But yeah, if you just Google me, I typically pop up. So I do live in Charlotte, North Carolina, or it might say Mint Hill, North Carolina. It's a small suburb outside of Charlotte, but I'm the travel agent, Erica Carpenter. There's also a children's author and some lady that has a PhD curing cancer in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. So.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. Very good. Okay, great. So we'll try to send some people your way that maybe are interested in some travel.
awesome. I would love to help.
Thank you so
And if
much for
I
being
can't
on.
help, I can find you somebody who can.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on and taking the time out of this. One of the things I like to tell people is thank you for showing up today and being authentically you. The most costly thing you can do is be yourself, and I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.